Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, a bit of a follow-up to my video on political news output on YouTube from yesterday. I'd like to pick up on something I mentioned but didn't expand on. See, I was pointing out how right-wing regressive channels were beating their left-wing progressive peers at every level. What I didn't say was why, as it would have extended the video far too long, wasn't important for that message. But it is an important message in itself, especially if you're into political campaigning, because it has lessons beyond YouTube. So if you want to know what I think the dividing factor is and why I think it is, you want to watch this. The top 3 things which successful political content creators know that not a single left-wing political party understands on even a basic level. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So I was actually going to do this video tomorrow. Then I realised the one I'd originally intended for this slot sort of forms a loose series and would make more sense if I'd done this video first. I also spent some time on this issue at the end of the stream last night, but this is in a more coherent form. It's quite long, and this is after I cut it down a bit. But anyway, whether you're talking about political parties, non-affiliated independents like myself, or the professional media outlets, the right-wing versions get way more views and therefore get their message out to way more people than their left-wing competitors. But why is that? I'll tell you. The first thing to say is that some of this is common to all forms of content, but some is specific, I think, to political content. Political content is inherently more off-putting to a lot of people than other content. People like watching cooking videos if they like food. It doesn't matter whether they can cook. They like watching arts and crafts videos if they enjoy visual stimuli. They like watching sports commentary if they're into those sports. They like watching gaming content if they're into gaming. They like watching cat videos just because. But not that many people like political content. So you need to make it relevant to them. Like a cooking video is instantly relevant to the viewer, no matter what the recipe is, as long as you don't try and show how to cook a steak on a vegan channel. But within those boundaries, doesn't matter what the recipe is. Does it look good? Does the video look good? Does it look like something you want to eat? Some channels get mad views for videos you couldn't possibly make yourself because you couldn't replicate the techniques in a standard kitchen. Doesn't matter. Most people are watching because they'd like to eat the food. They're not so bothered about wanting to cook it. But you cannot just pick any old political topic and expect it to do well unless you're a Billy Connolly level orator who can make anything entertaining. So you need to know what is likely to be engaging for people, because as I've said 100 times before, there is content which is engaging and there is content which contains the message you want to get out. In an ideal world, you will fuse the two together seamlessly. But realistically, your content has to be considered one or the other. It's certainly going to have to prioritize one or the other. And if you want your message to get out to a lot of people, you have to spend 95% of your time not even trying to get it out. And that's where I see the political parties going wrong. Every single video they put out is attempting to send a message, and that message goes nowhere because what people want is engagement. Instead of the owner of a YouTube channel asking, what do I want to say to people? You need to ask, what do people want to listen to? If you do that, you put the emphasis on the audience you wish to attract, then it does 2 things, which I would argue is a benefit to a political party or even non-partisan organisation, because most party-neutral political campaigns also perform poorly on YouTube. First, it makes you constantly think about the way your target audience thinks. It focuses your thinking less on yourself and more on other people. Developing an understanding of people you wish to engage with is surely a high priority for any political activist. Second, it means you get more people looking at your content. That means that when you do put out your important message in maybe 1 out of every 20 pieces of content, you will get that message out to way more people. You know, Labour's YouTube channel, for example, they could just put cat videos on there. Actually, it could be a cat video channel. Everyone would know it's sort of political anyway, and they'd get views, and then every now and then when they put their message out, they would get more views than their message gets at the moment, just because of that. And if you do it regularly, consistently, your message will spread much further. This is something that none of the people managing social media engagement for Labour, Lib Dems, Greens or SNP understand. But then there's the stuff which applies to any content on YouTube. It would also apply to other social media platforms and television, radio, newspapers, whatever. But I'm talking about YouTube here. YouTube recently published the results of a study into what engages viewers on the platform. Now, this was not a simple statistical approach either. It wasn't just a survey. It was a full psychological neuroscientific study with brain scans and blackjack and hookers. They're mainly brain scans. The first thing to note, and content creators have known this for ages, is that you don't need big budget production values to be successful on YouTube. There are channels that have grown to levels I can only dream about who just use their phone to record with a nice tidy background. I use green screen, I use a decent camcorder, not because it's necessary, because that's the style I like. That's about my preferences, not what's needed. I could record in my office with my collection of fantasy ornaments in the background, including my sword, which is way better than Penny Mordaunt's sword, and it would work just as well. In fact, the only technical factor you should be mindful of is audio. People don't always care about the visuals, although it's better if it's clean and tidy, but they don't put up with bad audio quality. Another major factor in the study was the importance of being authentic. You need to come across as your mate Dave down the pub, not a headmaster wasting your time with announcements you don't care about. Do a little exercise if you're interested. So at the end of this video, go and watch a video from any political content creator with good views. Then watch a video, and you don't have to watch the start of the video, then watch a video of the channel of whichever political party you most support. Doesn't matter who it is. The content creators know how to present, the politicians don't. Which sounds weird. Politics is all about presentation. Of course they know how to present, but on social media they absolutely don't. Nigel Farage, arguably aside, he does. Labour, Greens, whoever, look at one of their YouTube videos, it just screams corporate bullshit. It's shot and edited in the style of a video intended to win over shareholders or investors, right? But the public aren't into that style. As this study shows, they want authenticity. What you get from these political parties is the opposite of that. It's contrived. It's so contrived, it's painful to watch. And when they're not using the footage panning around a landscape or something, when the actual presenters are on camera, they're giving the impression that they're having their photo taken by a Victorian photographer where you can't afford to blink for 10 minutes or you knacker the whole thing. When I produced the video yesterday, there was one comment that leapt out. It was quite a defeatist comment, I have to say, but it hit the nail on the head. It read, I'll quote, "So what is the surprise? Populists are popular. They do not have to deal in facts, just emotions, and voters are emotional creatures." This comment is bang on the money, but it doesn't mean you always lose out to populists. It doesn't have to be that defeatist. Think about what political content is ultimately about. For serious people, whether they be politicians, journalists or commentators, it's about informing people. We want to inform people about something. That means we want to engage their brains. But emotion is what actually engages people. So I noted down the top 10 most viewed videos on my channel, as well as the top 10 most viewed videos in 2025 so far. They're all topics which evoke emotions. None of that, the stuff that I call my message content, none of that will ever make it into a top 10 most viewed content in any significant period. It just won't happen, ever. And the same applies to other channels. Look up your favourite political commentary channel, look up most viewed videos. Now, some may be at the top just because it's like 10 years old or something. Just maybe scroll down to a more recent one, last year, for example. Those will be on topics which make an emotional connection, it's not about factual explainers. It's not there saying, I'm going to give you this information. It's like in tune with your emotional responses. It's just the way it is. And this isn't my perception. It's backed up by this comprehensive study. Emotion gets views, not cerebralism. That is not to say you can't inform and get lots of views. You just have to accept that the information has to be packaged in the emotional content. So when political parties try to make message content 100% of all their content, they are setting themselves up to fail. They're focusing on what they want people to listen to, not what people want to watch. They're behaving as if they have a captive audience, which at an investors meeting they may do with their corporate bullshit, but they don't on YouTube. And they're not doing anything to bring that audience to them before delivering their message. So hardly anyone gets the message. Now, all successful content creators get a lot of things right, which is why they're successful. We all do exhibit bad practice as well. There are things I know on my channel I'm doing that are not ideal. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get everything right, although the more you do get right, the more successful you're likely to be. But these are what I would say are the three things which all successful political content creators get right, and not a single one of the progressive political parties gets right. First, engagement for almost all of your content. The messages should be relative rarity. That is how you make sure that those messages have hitting power when you put them out. The important stuff will get out to more people if it's less of your content. Second, authenticity. Cut out the contrived corporate bullshit. Look and sound human. I'm wearing a hoodie in a shed, for goodness sake. Now, I'm not saying Starmer or Denyer need to do that. Again, that's not a benefit. That's just me wanting to be comfortable. It's not a benefit. It's not a drawback either. Just you know, dress in your style, sure. But stop looking like something created in Elon Musk's laboratory. If you look at Nigel Farage's stuff, for example, he gets some of this. He still makes mistakes, but most do. But he gets the basics. Some of the stuff on his channel, right, you know, it's clips of him speaking in Parliament or at rallies, yeah, like everyone else. But look at the stuff which he has created specifically to be published online on that channel. The stuff he's made specifically for publishing online. Look at it. He looks like he's at home. It looks like the sort of low budget setup an ordinary part-time vlogger would have in the corner of their bedroom or lounge. And third, if you want to engage people's brains, be aware this is not a draw. So engage emotions first. And this is not easy. One reason why I think the right wing sometimes do better is that the emotional trigger is more easily applied to divisions, tribalism. Person X, who we don't like, made a right tit of themselves. Person Y, who we do like, completely destroyed Person Z, who we absolutely despise. The Conservatives and Reform UK, for example, have no problem demonising people to push the them and us narrative. Young people, unemployed people, immigrants, the RNLI, lefty lawyers, even the National Trust these days, doesn't matter. They're absolutely fine making enemies of groups of society, right? Progressive parties cannot and will not do that. The sensible parties can't and won't use those tactics. They will not use divide and rule. It's not in their nature and it's not in their interests. But just because this sort of content is a really good way of getting those emotional responses, it's not the only way. One of my all-time top 10 videos was about the positive steps Starmer took last year, straight after winning the election. It was a good news video. I didn't bash anyone. It got loads of views. Not as easy as the other stuff, but the point is that if you make an emotional appeal, the content will succeed. Yes, the easiest way to get a strong emotional response is like, hate's a strong word, but should we say division? And although I can engage in that, I can do that, and I do that. I get that progressive political parties can't and shouldn't, but although that's the most straightforward way to do it, it's not the only way. But you have to make that emotional connection if you are going to deliver your message. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.